Basically, I was brought up in a good Christian family. There was never any dramas or anything serious. I was really blessed growing up. Sure. Okay. um, right, there was, you know, exactly. That's the words I was looking for there. And so, growing up, I believed in Jesus. I used to pray to Jesus. I think God always had his hand on me. But so later on, after high school, I had some, when I was working full-time, I had some friends who were atheists, and we just had some discussions about deep topics about the world and creation and how we got here. They believed in evolution and stuff like that. And some of them seemed pretty smart, so we had some debates. I was still a Christian at the time, but the things that they said and the questions that they asked me kind of got me thinking and questioning my beliefs. And so at that point, it just kind of planted the seeds of doubt and just started making me reassess what I was brought up to believe. Like, I wasn't sure if was I just brainwashed? Was I just brought up to believe this like all the other religions out there or something like that, So I just wanted to be sure that it was the truth. And so later I went to university, and during that time I became very interested in learning. I thought that, all right, I need to find out what the truth is. What is life all about? Where do we come from? So I thought, okay, maybe I can, figure it out with knowledge and just, approach it that way, because I'm a pretty logical person. I went and studied mathematics and computer science. And so, during that time I was just pretty much became obsessed with learning. I was studying in all my free time. I was like listening to audiobooks, studying different religions, science, different philosophies and stuff like that. And I basically decided that I was an agnostic at that point. And then I eventually, I wasn't happy. I was definitely searching for God, searching for something. And I kind of realized that the world wasn't going to make me happy. And I became, at one point, I became interested in spiritualism, like the New Age, metaphysics, Buddhism and stuff like that. So I thought, I believed in love, and I believed there was something more to the world. There must be something more. So I basically started learning about Buddhism and meditation and some of these spiritual philosophies, and I actually got quite into it. And I was practicing meditation for about over a year, and I got quite into that. And during that period, I had a few spiritual experiences, and some of them were profound, but none of them were good. In hindsight, I would say. But what I did get out of that was I did know for sure that there is a spiritual reality, and that we are more than just matter. We have souls. We have, there's a lot more to it. So around this time, I finished my degree, and I started working at IBM as a software engineer. And what I noticed was, while I was into this stuff, I started to notice that I started to develop problems, like mental problems, only mild ones. I never became mentally ill, but I started to experience anxiety, irrational fear for no particular reason, and depression. So there would be periods of time where I'd be at work and I'd just suddenly start feeling really afraid for no reason. And I didn't want to be there. I wanted to leave. I didn't feel like socializing, or I wanted to be alone. And that kind of got worse over time. And so also during that period, I was in a long-term relationship for 4 years. And during that period, it just my relationship with my girlfriend just wasn't working out. It was very difficult. I was very unhappy with it. I think I jumped what I wanted to say there. Yeah, basically, I basically got to a point where I realized I wasn't happy and I needed something more. So I remember going on a trip to Adelaide to visit my family, and so this was at this point where I was kind of into this spiritual stuff, and I was also just kind of broken inside from like my relationship not working out, and I kind of knew it was going to end very soon. And then my mum was just showing me all these amazing testimonies online, like all these dramatic just transformations of people that had come to know Jesus, and we were just we spent a lot of time talking about it. And
Ben was trying to show me videos of shamanism.
Yeah, I was trying to convince her that I was right with my beliefs, but yeah. But what I realize now about the difference between Christianity and these weird spiritual beliefs is they don't have, there's no hope behind that. They don't have the true history of the Bible. Like, they don't have the evidence. It's just, ideas and things people come up with because they're looking for God, but it's not the true God. Anyways, so I was definitely in a broken place at that point in time, and I was definitely a sheep, but it took me a while to realize that that the spiritual stuff I was into was the wrong path, and it was actually bringing me into depression and all these negative things. And I now know that there's so many people that get into this stuff, that have tried this stuff, really. A lot of people have suffered terrible mental illness and things, far worse than what I've been through. So I really feel like I've been blessed, and God's actually protected me through the whole thing. Like, it could have been a lot worse, I believe. So anyways, I after that that trip back to Adelaide to visit Mum and Dad, I went home and I was thinking about all this stuff. I was feeling very broken, but I was starting to get to the point where I was realizing that I really needed God. I needed something needed to change, and my heart was definitely softened to the gospel message. And there was one night where I just broke down into tears after watching this really amazing, maybe it was a testimony or something, and I just decided to give my life to God. I realized that I truly was a sinner. I've just seen all the selfishness in me, seeing how I've really been living my life completely for myself, and also seeing how the world there is sin in the world, and people that wrong you and hurt you, they do that because of sin. And so I was just seeing how true, like the picture that the Bible gives us, how true that is. So I prayed. I asked God. I said, I'm sorry that I want to turn away from my ways. I want to live a different life, but I just need a savior. And I prayed, and then, like Dad said, it wasn't a huge, miraculous thing, but there was a thing, though. It was a great peace came over me. That the Bible calls it the peace that surpasses all understanding. And so there is a change, and ever since that day, I have felt a peace with me all the time. I've just been so much happier since then. I feel a simple joy that only trusting in God can bring. There's something amazing about faith that just transforms people. You know, Jesus said, "Now abide these three: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love." Since then, I've just been really blessed. I found a good church where I can serve, and I've been given opportunities to help people. I've been blessed to be able to play guitar in the worship band there. Music's one of my passions, and the story behind that's pretty cool. Actually, they told me that they had been praying for an electric guitarist for quite some time, quite a long time, I think. And then then I joined, and it was just all worked out really well. And so I've been blessed. I've been able to go on mission trips with my church. They have a bit of a program where they're doing outreach in Indonesia, they're building IT infrastructure in schools and orphanages and things like that. So that's just really been exciting, and I'm really looking forward to the future, and I really want to do more for God and to help bring more people to know Him. Nick, yes. Okay, so I have one of my best friends, also my cousin. This is from earlier in my past when I was still kind of struggling with stuff. We used to be in a heavy metal band together, and we were very good friends, but obviously not walking the right path at that point. And for a long time, he's struggled a lot, probably worse than I have. He's been through a lot more. He's struggled with drugs, basically. He's just been addicted to methamphetamine for quite some time now, and it's been really hard on his family and all his friends, and obviously on him as well. And he's been in and out of rehab, and he's just a guy that he doesn't have much confidence. He's very depressed, and he wasn't a believer. But recently he came over. Well, let's step back. About a month ago, I saw him, and he was the same old self. Like he's not very outgoing, keeps to himself. And then just a week ago, he came over, and he was just like, he seemed completely different. He was it seemed like he had a life in him. Something was changed in him. And then he just mentioned in passing that he had actually he was interested in the Bible, and he had actually started reading a few things, but he didn't understand it. And so basically I said, well, we can do a Bible study together. And so we had a Bible study together just this week. And the change in him has just been amazing. And so what I found out during that Bible study was that he had actually prayed that God would kind of change him and just do a work in him. And you could see the change immediately over that 2 weeks, or between the two times that I had seen him. It was just a miracle. And now he's thrown out all his heavy metal CDs, and he's just positive. He was he just seemed really interested in hearing the word, which was great. Yeah.
If I add to that his mother, his parents, and myself and other sisters, we'd all been praying for our children, but particularly Nick and others in his predicament, really getting hold of God for his salvation. And so we're just really praising God that he's come, step by step, like he's been clean for more than a year. And then the enemy came in and he felt like he was slipping back and he said, oh, you have to go back to rehab. And the next time I talked to my sister, I said, how's Nick doing? She goes, I said, what about the rehab? She goes, oh, he hasn't mentioned that. He's just come to life. She said, he's watching YouTube, he's taking notes, he's asking questions, he's talking to his dad, and he's like a different person. So, and then the next thing, Ben gave me a Bible study, so I was praising God that Ben is God's using Ben.
Absolutely amazing. Praise God. Anyways, yeah, that's my story. Does anyone have any questions?
Maybe just a statement, or just following, maybe you can elaborate. Yeah. It's interesting, shamanism talking about that. It seemed to be fulfilling, but in the end it was like poison. You realise it was really just it wasn't what it seemed. But it took it took something to open your eyes to that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of things in life are like that as well. Like a lot of the things in the world, they can make us happy temporarily. Just like all the pleasures in the world, but none of them will ever truly satisfy us, and that's kind of the truth that I found. But yeah, about those New Age spiritual experiences, some of them you do have glimpses of good things. Like you can get euphoria from practicing meditation. But it's just like taking a drug. A drug isn't good. It makes you feel good for a short period of time, but the end result is a negative thing. So that's my opinion on that.
Did you learn the shamanism things like from the internet and things like that?
Yeah, exactly. Like, in this day and age with the internet, everyone can just come across this information and learn about it. And yeah, it's becoming more and more common these days. That is how, yep.
With the experiences you had, you said some of them were seemed good. Were any of them sort of scary?
Well, when I say seemed good, like feeling good, like we talked about feeling euphoria, like you kind of feel you feel at peace while you're doing it, kind of thing. But then actually the worldview behind the New Age is actually very weird and scary. It's not the comforting worldview that comes from being protected by Jesus, by his love. And it's also a worldview it's a difference between a relationship and being alone. So, and works as well. You're trying to reach your way to heaven.
And Ben, because I remember there was a couple of videos that I showed you where, there was an ex-warlock, and how it really showed that these things were demonic and how real the devil was. Do you think that had an impact? Because I remember when you went to go to, that day you had to leave Adelaide, you said, well, I couldn't sleep last night, I have a lot to think about, because these videos were making it very real, that the devil's real, Satanism is a real thing, and it sort of goes to the heebie-jeebies, doesn't it?
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Did that make you realise then, well, Satan is a real force and I've got to do something about that?
Yeah, I can't remember exactly. There was so many videos we watched during that period. There was a lot of good ones. Yeah. For me, it was a combination of logically seeing the evidence for God, but also the change in my heart, and that was the biggest one. No.
Hey, so one little, not to embarrass you, but one little thing that when Ben was still living at home in Perth, and he had become an atheist by this time, we had an argument, and at one point, and I was telling you, saying, I don't know what I said, but something about Christ or Christianity, and you said, and I'll never forget this, that Dad, it's just a religion. And I'm thinking now, Don't you think it's amazing that you've now come?
So, yeah, my story is a bit like the prodigal son. So, I was going to say that, actually, I forgot to say that bit. Yeah, it's true, yeah.
Did you experience, that Maharishi Mahesh Yogi transcendental meditation? Did you get, that secret word mantra?
Sorry?
Did you get that secret personal word mantra?
Personal mantra when you're meditating.
Did I
Mantra
get a
for
secret
meditation.
personal mantra? No, no.
No. Okay.
So, yeah.
You didn't go.
Yes. Did you experience, levitation and going, by spirit
Astral
from
projection.
body?
Astral projection.
Yes. That, yeah.
Going by spirit from body.
Yeah. So that would be the most profound.
And did you use substances to help you do that?
Only one time.
Did you spirit come out?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask. I saw somebody recently actually, and he was an ex-Freemason and he worked for IBM, and he was saying the IBM was fully into this Freemasonry thing. Before he became a Christian, they would all also do the whole they could levitate and stuff, and had things like in Asia and that. It just reminded me of something.
Yeah, I know the Freemasons, or at least from the information I've seen about the Freemasons, they do seem like they are a spiritist type cult, where they do believe in they have symbolism, and they do weird rituals, and they do practice spirituality. I haven't heard anything about IBM being involved in that.
He was in the States.
Right, okay.
And he'd come out of it, but his whole family he'd come from like a Masonry line.
Right.
And he said that the company over there, they had so many members and they were just being run by it, and in the end he just had to escape from it because
That's crazy.
this was over there though, so yeah.
Well, they're rife, they're everywhere.
Yeah, I haven't run into that, thankfully.
I have two questions,
Sure.
and that is one, like when you were astral travelling, did you ever feel like somehow you'd not be able to be back into your own body, and if so, did that scare you?
Yeah.
Secondly, how hard was it for you as an atheist to live in your parents' house? And I mean, no, seriously, because even though you would believe there is no God, okay, and your parents are firm-believing Christians and God-fearing, and they'd be praying for you. Like, there would be that spiritual war in your house. And yet, you have to face the reality of, if I don't live here, who else is going to pay the bills?
Yeah.
You know? Hello?
Sure. Okay.
I moved out.
Well, at that time, I was actually working, so. Yeah. Yeah, there were difficulties. Yeah. I'll just say I was never actually an atheist. I was always open to ideas, but yeah. So, and the question about the astral projection, I was always I never got too into that. I only did that a couple times, and there was one experience where I saw a spirit in my room that scared me, and that kind of made me stop doing it. I only did it a couple times. It wasn't like I did it for years or anything. And I actually think that God was protecting me through that because of the prayers. Yeah, it could have been a lot worse. I've heard amazing stories of people that done a lot more. They could do all sorts of stuff, real scary stuff, yeah. And I was blessed to not have to go through that. I just had one or two things happen that kind of.
That's very interesting for you, scary things, okay? But that ones, they are practicing that. Yogins also, for them that is not scary.
Right, I guess.
That's interesting, no?
Yeah.
So God gave you to touch that, okay? But you was feeling
Uneasy
Scared.
about it.
To scare him away from
It's
it.
good that God scared me away from it. Yeah. Cool. All right. Thank you so much for listening.